In today's video, we're essentially going to be doing the raindrop water drop technique, but this time with a twist. So instead of putting down UV resin droplets, I'm going to create a design with the UV resin and put that down on my molds. Now, before I get into today's video, there is something important that I need to share with you guys about this technique, and it's especially important if you're about to try this technique, and that is, as you guys can see, my molds have been left with an imprint from the UV resin droplets from my last video. Now, I'm not 100% sure what exactly has happened, but I'm thinking it has something to do with how hot UV resin gets under the UV light while it's curing. And I'm pretty sure these molds have been damaged, and next time I pour resin in my molds, the pieces will be left with this imprint. Now, since I'm here to help you guys with your resin crafting journey, I'm going to take this opportunity and test that theory out and also try something new with this technique. So if this sparks your interest, then keep on watching. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is top up my UV resin in this smaller black bottle. I really like using these black needle tip bottles with my UV resins since it gives me a more precise flow of the resins coming out, plus the stream that does come out is thinner, which will make it so much easier for me to make my designs on these molds. I will have the direct link to these black needle tip bottles down below just in case anyone's interested, but keep in mind that if you do put UV resin in a different bottle, the bottle has to be black to protect it from the UV light so it doesn't cure. Off camera, I mixed up some black resin for the rims of my trays, just like my last video, because I didn't want any of the mica powder residue to go into that space. Now it's time to make my designs. For this first tray, I'm going to make a heart design. Every time I make a heart with the UV resin, I'll be flash curing it so the resin doesn't spread. If you don't know what flash curing means, it's just when you shine your UV light on your resin for about 10 to 15 seconds, or just enough time for it to start curing so it doesn't move, or so you can pour another layer of UV resin on top. Once I've finished my design, I'll be moving my mold under my bigger UV lamp and cure that for longer. There were a couple of times where I did mess up my hearts, but luckily cleaning up was pretty easy. All I used was a cotton bud and a baby wipe. If you're new to resin crafts, be sure to always have baby wipes and 91% or higher rubbing alcohol handy because they are amazing at cleaning up resin. Now that I have the heart design down, I'm going to go in with some more UV resin and put little resin dots down just to fill in the empty spaces. Then I'm going to put my mold under my bigger UV lamp and cure each side for about 90 seconds. As always, when you're using UV resin, turn your project over and cure both sides. This is mostly important when you're using colored UV resin, but it doesn't hurt to do it with clear UV resin too. For my second tray, I decided to make a more intricate design. I went for diamonds and circles. It's going to be really interesting to see if the molds also take the imprints of these designs. It really was disappointing seeing that the molds had the imprints from the UV resin from my last video, especially since it was my first time using those molds. Comment down below if you've tried this technique and if your molds have been left with the imprint of this technique. Although these molds are technically damaged, I think I'll still keep using them. I may just have to take more steps to hide those imprints. Now it's time to dust on the mica powders, and this time I decided to use some micas I had laying around that I got from Larissi. I chose a purpley blue one and the other one is called Apricot. With a small brush, I dusted them really well and did my best to make sure it was all nice and even. Another friendly reminder is when dusting on mica powders, make sure you dust them well and evenly on your molds. If you have any thin patches, you will be able to see them on your pieces once they're cured. Then it was time to mix up my resin and fill in the molds. Here I'm using the T-Expert Deep Pour resin again. I've really come to like this resin. I'm sure you guys have noticed that I've recently been using it a lot, but it's just really good at not leaving air bubbles behind in intricate designs like the ones I've made here. And now all that's left to do is cover these trays up, and I'll be back in 48 hours to demold these trays. It's demolding time. Let's see what we've got. Well, that looks cool. One thing I do want to check is to see if the mold has been left with, yep, like I suspected, the design has been left on this mold from this time too. You guys can see all the circles and the little diamond shapes that I made. So now let's see what the next tray looks like. Come on. Oh, how cute is this one? This one's really, really cute. I love the little hearts. And again, you can see the little resin droplet imprints from the mold there. The good thing is that you kind of have to look for it. So it's like right now you can't see it, but then as soon as I put like the light on, then you can see it. So one thing I really want to do next is I'm going to go ahead and dome this. And then we can see, and then I want to see if the dome does hide those imprints, and I'll be back. Okay guys, so these trays have been domed, and I didn't record this part just because I did record myself doming the other trays. So if you guys want to see how it's done, be sure to go check out the other video. But all I did was I mixed up another small batch of resin, poured a thin layer in the middle and along the edging, and that's pretty much how you dome. Now what we're going to be looking for is to see if we still see the imprint from the mold. And I'm happy to say that it's gone, so that's really, really good news. Now let me just quickly check the other one, and yeah, I can't see it on this tray either, so that is really good. And it just goes to show that doming can really be a quick fix for when you make some mistakes in resin. Okay, so now I'm going to take these trays outside so we can see what they look like in the sunlight and see if the sunlight can pick up the imprints. Sunlight is a really good way to pick up any resin mistakes, all those little dust bunnies or little pieces of fibers that get in there magically somehow when you're not looking. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned something from it. If you guys did, please give this video a big fat thumbs up, and I'd love to know which tray is your favorite. I'd also like to know what you guys think of this different twist on this technique. If you guys want to see other resin techniques that I've done on this channel, be sure to check out one of the videos that are popping on screen now. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!